Well, Robby the Robot, I know you began your lengthy career in Forbidden Planet, followed up with The Invisible Boy, then were seen in an episode of Columbo, and as a matter of fact, you may remember you and I cameoed in Hollywood Boulevard. But I frankly must confess, beyond that, I'm kind of lost. Fortunately, we're right here in the home of your roommate, Bill Malone. Can we have Bill here? You fill us in on the good stuff.
Pardon me, sir. Stuff?
Thank you, Forry. Let me just shut Robby off here for a second. This is my friend Robby, who you probably recognize from a movie called Forbidden Planet, made in 1956. Robby was designed for Forbidden Planet, and he was built at a place in the prop shop at MGM, in a place called the Leather Shop, which is where they made all the tooling and forms for him. One of the biggest problems in building Robby really was keeping the weight down and so forth, and they came up with some very high-tech answer to this. Originally, he was to be made out of wood, and what they did was they designed instead a body made out of vacuum-formed plastic. He's made out of a material called royalite, which is ABS. Royalite was a material used to make primarily luggage. He was made using a lot of forms that were made out of plaster and wood and various materials. And also to really give him a really high gloss and a very realistic look, they made a lot of the parts out of real metal. This is all metal here. These little things they call the sax valves are metal. A lot of the turnings and so forth are all metal pieces. I'll show you how some of this stuff works here. Robby's actually powered by this unit over here, which is his main control box. This was set off to one side of the stage. Now, as you can tell, he makes quite a bit of noise, and this was a problem when they made Forbidden Planet. And you'll see in the movie that if you really watch carefully, the people's intention is slightly different. In fact, in the scene where Walter Pidgeon is sort of talking about Robby and how this stuff works, he's talking kind of like I do. He says, "Down here, there's a small chemical analyzer," and so forth. He's yelling at the top of his lungs, although he's trying to look as cool as possible. We'll turn on some of this other stuff here and make even more racket. And I think we can get these sax valves here to work here if I just turn this right here. Robby was actually designed for Frankie Carpenter, who was a prop builder on the show. And the Screen Actors Guild stepped in and said, no, Robby would have to be played by an actor. So in order to satisfy the Screen Actors Guild, they hired Frankie Darro to play the part. And Frankie Darro did some of the picture, although Frankie Carpenter, the prop builder, did most of it. Frankie Darro unfortunately had a slight problem with drinking, and in the first sequence where Robby steps out of the car, Robby went about 180 degrees there, and people quit running to grab him and just caught him just before he hit the ground. And so they pulled him out and put Frankie Carpenter in for the rest of it. These are a set of neon tubes, and they light up blue when he talks. And this was done with a special setup, also off camera, which was very difficult. If you noticed in the film, it doesn't just blink on and off, but it has a sort of random pattern. The way they did that was there was a series of resistors on either side of the tubes, which were cut across the tubes. And what this would do is it would sort of happen in sort of a random way, so that when the voice came on, it gave it a sort of talking look. Well, this is the inside of the main body here. As you can see, there's nothing any more high-tech than just some rubber bands which hold the arms in here. There's actually 12 wooden rings that become the arms and can bellows out, and they're sewn together with these pieces of vinyl here. This is the lever that they pull back, which opens up the front door, which is where he took in the booze when Cookie's asking him for some liquor there. And this is the clockwork mechanism here. It's run by two different motors here and here, which operates the 2 dials, or 3 dials actually, in the front. And if I turn the body around here, you can see which is the royalite material. Down here, this is where the neon tubes are that operate when his voice actuates. And right in here is where you can get some really nice shocks if you stick your hand there in the wrong spot. Anyway, these are the motors and the cams that operate the sacks, and that's the motor in there that operates the gyros. Well, Robby weighs almost 110 pounds, and in order to support that weight, the operator actually had to carry the weight around. In other words, the legs do not support the robot. The actor inside actually carried the weight on his shoulder, which meant that the guy could only stay inside for maybe 20 minutes at a time before they had to put him in a rack that they had, which is sort of metal shelving thing that he sort of backed into. Anyway, when he carried it around, this was the harness that he wore inside, and this is designed around what they used to call a flying harness, which is what they used in, like, the Wizard of Oz and so forth, to fly the flying monkeys.
Well, well done, Bill. And as for you, Robby, I guess we'll soon be seeing you on Krellivision.
A genuine privilege, Commander.